Wow, thank you so much for that introduction. I couldn't have done better even if I tried. It feels incredible to be back here on this stage, on the same school from which I graduated 6 years ago. I'm going to start my talk with a different graduation event. I graduated from university during the summer of 2023. I had an offer letter to join a prestigious accounting firm. Like a lot of my peers, I was super excited and intrigued to kickstart my career. But around the same time, if you open LinkedIn or any online news article, you would see the exact same headline. AI may be coming for your job. Not the pep talk that I wanted to hear before I started my career. Well, fortunately for me, a year later, I still had my job. AI had in fact helped me tremendously with my work. At least that's what I thought. 6 months ago, I was in a conference room sitting with a client. There was a new tax regulation which had recently emerged, and I was required to explain how that regulation impacted the client's business. My boss was on leave, and I was required to lead this call. To be honest with you, I had no idea what that regulation was. So, as a lot of you would do in this situation, I did the same thing. I decided to ask ChatGPT. But here's the kicker. Unfortunately for me, this was a physical meeting, and I had no access to my mobile phone or my laptop. So my second instinct in this situation was panic. I am an international tax consultant. I deal with financial models and tax regulations on a regular basis. Yet, at that moment, sitting in that chair, my brain couldn't think of any way to analyze and produce insights. And that is when I realized that the entire narrative that we've all been so concerned about is not supposed to be this. The narrative about AI that we should be focused on is this. Is AI weakening your ability to think? Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to explain exactly how I ended up in that conference room, all confused, and what you can take away from my journey. How did I end up there? Let's start from the beginning. November 2022, ChatGPT launches. I'm sure all of you remember exactly where you were at that moment. Me, I was in my final year of university preparing for an exam. My roommate barged in, gleaming with excitement with a laptop in his hand. He showed me how this tool could draft essays and solve the most complex problem sets. At first I was skeptical, but then I began to use the tool and I realized this was magic. Hours of research was now condensed into seconds. Difficult assignments became manageable. Complex chapters were now explained in a much better way than most textbooks could. It felt like a superpower. Within days, this wasn't just a trend. This became the default academic tool. If you walk into any study hall or any library, you would see every student using this tool to get things done. One student tweeted online and captured exactly what we were all thinking. College is just how well I can use ChatGPT at this point. And it felt true. It felt like a superpower. I wasn't really cheating. I was just optimizing. My grades were high. Life was good. And then I joined the workforce, and this pattern followed me there. Except, this time it wasn't just AI that could draft essays. I had tools that could build models, that could create PowerPoint decks from scratch, that could even summarize pages and pages of tax research into neat bullet points. My work was much faster, and I was getting things done much better. But good results is not the same as good thinking. Slowly but subtly, I started to notice changes in the way I approach problems. Previously, I could do tax calculations in my head, but now I found myself using a calculator. Earlier, I could write clean, structured memos, but now my first drafts were always messy and chaotic. But perhaps the most concerning of all, my ability to sit with a complex problem completely evaporated. Previously, I could analyze a regulation for hours, turn it over in my head, connect the dots, and produce insights. But now, 5 minutes of difficulty, and I find myself reaching out for ChatGPT. This brings me back to that conference room, staring at a regulation I could not analyze, panicking because I didn't know what to do. The problem here was not that I was using AI. The problem was that I relied on AI so much that I forgot to exercise the cognitive muscles which made me good at my job in the first place. Now, why should any of you be concerned about the fact that I can't do mental math or that I can't write essays? Well, this is not a problem that's only affecting me. This is happening to all of us in real time, something that researchers are calling cognitive offloading. The idea of using external tools to reduce your internal cognitive effort, and in this specific context, using these AI tools. Some of the research that has been done on this is quite alarming. One of the more popular ones done by MIT shows that control groups which use these tools to write essays exhibited less neural activity than ones that didn't. In other words, their brains were putting in literally less effort. While their essays were polished, the cognitive effort beneath it was thin. And the implications of this is quite profound, especially when it comes to education. If you talk to school teachers or college professors, a lot of them will echo this exact same sentiment. And when this generation of students that grew up studying with these AI tools enters the workforce with weakened cognitive abilities, the consequences extend far beyond the classroom. And that is unsettling. Now, whenever I bring this up with my peers, a lot of them give me the same response. But the calculator did not kill maths. Sure, we've been using mental math for quite a while, but calculators came about, and we still have math, which is true. Calculators did not kill maths, but they did change the way we teach math. Mental arithmetic became largely push button, and multiplication tables became obsolete. In other words, the kind of mathematical thinking that we value was changed. And while calculators are automating calculation, these AI tools are automating something that's far more foundational, the process of thinking itself. Think about it. When you drop a prompt into ChatGPT, what exactly does it help you with? Recall, interpretation, synthesis, drafting, structuring arguments, connecting ideas. These are not peripheral skills. These are the exact skills involved in thinking itself. When you automate recall, you lose the ability to connect with ideas in your head. When you automate interpretation, you lose the ability to extract meaning from complexity. When you automate structuring arguments, you lose the ability to develop your own reason. So while we collectively automate our thinking, what we are effectively doing is building a world where our cognitive skills atrophy in silence. And that is alarming. So where now? Where do we go from here? Do we ban AI entirely? No. Banning AI is not the tool, and we do not retreat to analog methods. AI and the benefits offered by it are undeniable and has been felt across almost every industry today. The solution is different. What we need is a better design philosophy, something that respects cognition. And this means sometimes introducing friction back in. Let the AI draft the outline of your memo, but build the memo yourself. Let the AI summarize the research, but extract insights on your own tailored to the client's context. Let the AI draft the meeting agenda, but understand the key ideas yourself. This process to insight may not be immediate and may not be efficient, but it does develop your thinking, and that process should never be replaced. To conclude, as we approach and as we confront these headlines about how AI will steal our jobs, let's not forget the real cognitive struggle, the real challenge that lies in front of us. As one of my most favorite writers, Derek Thompson, famously put it, I am more concerned about the decline of today's thinking people than I am about the rise of tomorrow's thinking machines. And I think we should all be too. Thank you.